25. Black child actors with tragic fates. Behind the laughter, the fame, and the bright lights of Hollywood lies a chilling truth. Many of the child stars we adored never lived the fairy tale life we imagined. They were celebrated on screen, but off screen they faced betrayal, mental illness, financial ruin, and in some cases, tragic deaths. These were not just actors. They were children caught in a system that chewed them up and left scars that never healed. Are you ready to uncover the hidden tragedies behind their smiles? Stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, and join us on Legends of Black Excellence. Lee Thompson Young. Lee Thompson. Young's story is one of brilliance, promise, and ultimately heartbreak. Born on February 1, 1984 in Columbia, South Carolina, Young grew up with a passion for storytelling and performing. From an early age, he stood out as a child with both intellect and charisma, pursuing acting as a genuine craft rather than just a path to fame. That dedication would eventually propel him into stardom in a way few young actors ever experience. At just 14 years old, Lee landed the lead role in Disney Channel's original series, The Famous Jet Jackson, 1998 to 2001. The show centered on a teenage boy balancing ordinary life with playing a TV action hero, a role that resonated with young audiences across the country. The series not only made Lee a household name, but also showcased him as a positive role model for Black youth, in an industry that often lacked such representation. His natural presence, poise, and charm made it seem like he had an unstoppable career ahead of him. Following the success of Jet Jackson, Lee transitioned into film, appearing in Friday Night Lights 2004, and later joining the hit TNT series Rizzoli and Isles in 2010 as Detective Barry Frost. Though he often played supporting roles, his professionalism and quiet strength left an impression on co-stars and viewers alike. Behind the camera, however, the journey was not as smooth as fans imagined. Lee faced the unique struggle of many child actors, the difficulty of being recognized as an adult performer after being defined by a childhood role. Adding to that pressure was a hidden, far more dangerous battle. Lee was privately diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a condition he chose not to disclose publicly. Out of fear that the stigma would end his career, he carried the burden in silence. While he continued to smile for cameras and deliver his lines with precision, the internal weight grew heavier with time. Friends and colleagues would later describe him as kind and deeply introspective, but also someone who carried a quiet sadness that few truly understood. Have you ever noticed how some of the brightest smiles in Hollywood sometimes hide the deepest pain? On August 19, 2013, tragedy struck. Lee failed to appear for work on the set of Rizzoli and Isles. Concerned colleagues contacted the police, who later found him in his Los Angeles apartment where he had taken his own life. He was just 29 years old. The discovery shocked fans and the entertainment industry alike. A suicide note confirmed the despair he had endured, though most had never suspected he was struggling. Lee Thompson Young's passing was more than the loss of a talented actor. It was a painful reminder of the importance of mental health care, especially for those in the spotlight. In his honor, his family created the Lee Thompson Young Foundation, dedicated to removing the stigma around mental illness and providing education about conditions like bipolar disorder. Today, his legacy lives on through the roles that inspired a generation and the conversations his death sparked about compassion, awareness, and the unseen struggles behind fame. Lee's story is tragic, but it continues to shine a light on the importance of empathy, reminding us that no amount of talent or success makes a person immune to pain. Gary Coleman. When Gary Coleman appeared on television screens in the late 1970s, he became an instant cultural phenomenon. Born on February 8, 1968 in Zion, Illinois, Gary was adopted as an infant and grew up with chronic kidney disease. The illness stunted his growth, leaving him at just 4 feet 8 inches tall and required 2 kidney transplants before he turned 5. Yet instead of allowing his condition to define him, Gary turned it into part of his unique charm. His quick wit, expressive face, and undeniable comedic timing set him apart from other child actors. His breakthrough came in 1978, when he was cast as Arnold Jackson on the NBC sitcom Different Strokes. With his famous catchphrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" Gary became a household name almost overnight. The show ran until 1986, and during that time, Gary was one of television's highest-paid child actors. At the peak of his career, he earned over $100,000 per episode, amassing more than $18 million by the time he reached adulthood. For millions of viewers, he represented joy, innocence, and the possibility of overcoming adversity. But behind the scenes, Gary's life was far from the glamorous picture Hollywood painted. His ongoing kidney problems meant a lifetime of medical treatments and dialysis, which left him exhausted and often in pain. While fans saw his big smile and infectious personality, Gary carried physical and emotional burdens few could imagine. Worse, his parents and financial advisor secretly mismanaged his earnings. By the late 1980s, Gary discovered that nearly his entire fortune was gone. He sued his parents and former manager in 1989, winning only $1.3 million, a small fraction of what he had earned. Can you imagine the heartbreak of realizing the people you trusted most had taken everything you worked for? Financial stress and declining health forced Gary into odd jobs, from working as a security guard to making small guest appearances on television. His career never fully recovered. The bright spotlight that had once shone on him was now dim, replaced with tabloid headlines mocking his struggles. In 2007, he married Shannon Price, a woman nearly 20 years younger than him. The relationship quickly became volatile, marked by public arguments and accusations of abuse. Instead of stability, it only deepened his despair. The final chapter of Gary's life came in May 2010, when he suffered a fall at his Utah home that left him with a brain hemorrhage. Rushed to the hospital, he was placed on life support. Shannon made the highly controversial decision to have him removed from it, sparking outrage from fans who believed he should have been given more time. Gary Coleman died on May 28, 2010, at the age of 42. His death marked the tragic end of a life that began with extraordinary promise, but was overshadowed by betrayal, illness, and hardship. Gary Coleman's story is a cautionary tale of the dark side of child stardom, a reminder that while fame can bring wealth and admiration, it can also expose young talents to exploitation and suffering. To this day, he remains an unforgettable figure, both for the laughter he gave the world and the tragedy he endured when the cameras stopped rolling. Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown's name once brought smiles to millions of children across America. Born on December 4, 1987 in Los Angeles, he entered the entertainment industry at a very young age, displaying a natural gift for comedy and performance. His first big break came in the mid-1990s, with appearances on shows like Family Matters and Two of a Kind. By the early 2000s, he had become a household name through Disney Channel first, with voice work on The Proud Family, and then most memorably as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven. As Eddie, Orlando captured the essence of the funny, loyal best friend, a character who resonated deeply with audiences. At the height of his career, he seemed unstoppable. He had acting jobs, voiceover work, and even launched into music, releasing rap songs that hinted at a future beyond Disney. But Hollywood fame is rarely kind to child stars, and for Orlando, the glittering spotlight soon revealed cracks beneath the surface. By the late 2000s, Orlando's career was unraveling. Without the structure of Disney, he struggled to transition into adult roles. Personal troubles began to dominate his public image. In 2016, he was arrested multiple times on charges ranging from drug possession to domestic violence and assault. His mugshots circulated widely, turning him into the butt of internet jokes rather than the celebrated actor he once was. Even more troubling were his erratic interviews and bizarre social media appearances. In 2018, he shocked fans by claiming he had a child with his former co-star, Raven Simone, and in other instances he rambled about being followed by aliens. These incidents painted a picture of a young man in severe mental and emotional distress. Do you think the pressures of child stardom push young actors towards self-destruction, or is it the lack of real guidance once the cameras stop rolling? Despite the chaos, Orlando's story did not end in tragedy. In recent years, he has sought redemption. He admitted openly to his struggles with drug addiction and mental health issues, and in 2020, he checked into a Christian faith-based recovery program in Texas. There, he began rebuilding his life, embracing religion as a foundation for healing. Fans who once pitied him now began to root for his recovery, seeing in him a glimpse of resilience. Though his career has yet to return to its former heights, Orlando has expressed hope about acting again and continuing music projects. More importantly, he has focused on repairing his life off-screen, finding stability with his wife and child. His transformation is still a work in progress, but it reflects the possibility of growth even after the harshest falls. Orlando Brown's journey is not just about a Disney star gone wrong. It is about the possibility of second chances. His life warns of the dangers of fame without guidance, but also inspires with the reminder that even in the darkest times, redemption is possible for those willing to fight for it. Lark Voorhees. In the early 1990s, few young stars shone brighter than Lark Voorhees. Born on March 25, 1974 in Nashville, Tennessee, she moved to California as a child and quickly found her way into acting. Her big break came in 1989 when she was cast as Lisa Turtle on the hit sitcom Saved by the Bell. Stylish, witty, and radiating confidence, Lisa became one of the most beloved characters of the show, and Lark's popularity skyrocketed. To millions of fans, she represented not only glamour, but also a refreshing image of a black teen thriving in mainstream television during a time when diversity was scarce. For 4 years, she was a staple of Saturday morning television. Lark even won 2 Young Artist Awards for her performance and became a teen idol. After Saved by the Bell, she continued acting in shows like In the House Days of Our Lives and The Bold and the Beautiful. She also appeared in several music videos collaborating with artists such as Boyz II Men. To the public, she seemed to have everything: beauty, talent, and a career destined for longevity. But Hollywood's spotlight doesn't always shine forever. As the 2000s arrived, Lark's acting opportunities slowed down. Away from the cameras, her personal life grew turbulent. By 2012, fans noticed her withdrawal from the public eye, accompanied by strange and erratic appearances during interviews. That same year, she revealed she had been diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, a mental illness that combines symptoms of schizophrenia with mood disorders such as depression or bipolar disorder. The revelation stunned fans who had long wondered what had happened to their childhood favorite. How do you think the entertainment industry should better support actors facing mental health struggles instead of letting them fade in silence? The disorder left her isolated, straining her relationships with friends and even family. Her attempt at marriage in 2015 to Jimmy Green, a man with a criminal record, ended in divorce after only 6 months, further amplifying the perception of instability around her life. Media outlets that once celebrated her talent now focused on her challenges, often portraying her struggles with insensitivity and ridicule. Despite the darkness, Lark has refused to be defined solely by her illness. She has openly spoken about the importance of seeking help, sharing her story in interviews, and writing books that combine spiritual reflection with her personal journey. Her candidness has encouraged conversations about the stigma surrounding mental health, particularly in the Black community, where such issues are often dismissed or hidden. While her career never fully regained its former shine, Lark Voorhees remains an unforgettable figure. Her story is not simply one of decline, but of courage, a woman who, even while battling an unrelenting illness, continues to show resilience and vulnerability. For fans who grew up watching Lisa Turtle navigate high school with charm and humor, Lark's reality serves as a sobering reminder behind the dazzling glow of Hollywood. There are often hidden battles that fame cannot shield. Todd Bridges. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, Todd Bridges was one of the most recognizable young Black actors on television. Born on May 27, 1965 in San Francisco, California, Todd grew up in a family connected to entertainment. His mother, Betty, was an actress and manager, and his father, James, worked as a talent agent. Surrounded by the industry from an early age, Todd's path to stardom seemed almost inevitable. His early appearances included guest spots on shows like Little House on the Prairie and The Waltons. But his true breakout came in 1978 with the NBC sitcom Different Strokes. Cast as Willis Jackson, the older brother of Gary Coleman's Arnold Todd quickly became a household name. With his natural charisma and chemistry with the cast, he helped make the show a cultural phenomenon. Millions of viewers tuned in each week to watch the Jackson brothers navigate life after being adopted by a wealthy white businessman. For many, Todd Bridges embodied success, a young black actor thriving in mainstream television at a time when opportunities were limited. But off-screen, Todd's life was far from idyllic. As a child, he endured trauma that would haunt him for years. In later interviews, Todd revealed that he had been sexually abused by a family member, an experience that left deep emotional scars. As the fame and money from Different Strokes rolled in, Todd began to use drugs to numb his pain. By the mid-1980s, cocaine and crack cocaine had consumed his life. After Different Strokes ended in 1986, Todd's career stalled and his addiction worsened. He was arrested multiple times with charges ranging from drug possession to assault. In 1989, his name made national headlines when he was accused of attempted murder during a drug-related shooting. Though he was later acquitted, the scandal destroyed his public image. Instead of being remembered for his talent, Todd became another cautionary tale of a child star gone wrong. Do you think the public judges former child stars too harshly, forgetting the trauma many of them endured behind the scenes? Todd's darkest years lasted well into the 1990s. Friends and colleagues watched as he spiraled, seemingly unable to reclaim control of his life. But unlike some of his peers, Todd found the strength to confront his demons. He entered rehabilitation, got sober, and began slowly rebuilding. By the 2000s, he was clean and had embraced faith as a cornerstone of his recovery. He used his painful past as a tool to educate others, speaking at schools and community centers about the dangers of drugs and the hidden struggles of child stardom. Though his acting career never returned to the heights of Different Strokes, Todd continued to work in Hollywood, appearing on reality shows and in small acting roles. More importantly, he transformed his tragedy into a message of resilience. Today, Todd Bridges is seen as a survivor, someone who endured the darkest depths, yet found a way back to the light. His journey remains a powerful reminder that behind the laughter and applause of child stardom often lie wounds invisible to the audience, wounds that can take a lifetime to heal. Brandy Norwood. In the 1990s, few young black stars shined as brightly as Brandy Norwood. Born on February 11, 1979 in Macomb, Mississippi, and raised in Carson, California, Brandy grew up surrounded by music. Her father was a choir director, and her cousin was none other than Snoop Dogg. With her natural vocal talent, Brandy began singing in church at a young age and quickly captured attention for her mature voice that seemed far beyond her years. At just 15 years old, she released her self-titled debut album Brandy 1994, which went quadruple platinum and produced hits like I Wanna Be Down and Baby. Within 2 years, she was a household name, winning awards and dominating both radio and MTV. She became not only a singer, but also an actress, starring in the hit sitcom Moesha 1996-2001, where she portrayed a relatable black teenager balancing family, school, and life. The show was groundbreaking, providing authentic representation for young black audiences on primetime television. Brandy's success extended beyond music and television. In 1997, she played Cinderella in Disney's groundbreaking live-action TV movie opposite Whitney Houston. The project, which featured a diverse cast, cemented Brandy as a cultural icon and role model for young girls of color. By the early 2000s, she had hit records, acting roles, and endorsement deals that made her one of the most bankable young stars in the industry. But beneath the fame and glamour, life had a darker turn waiting. On December 30th, 2006, Brandy was involved in a car accident on the 405 freeway in Los Angeles. Her vehicle struck another car, which led to the death of Awatef Abudihaj, a 38-year-old mother of two. Although Brandy was not criminally charged, the incident devastated her emotionally and damaged her career. Overnight, her image shifted from America's sweetheart to a figure shadowed by tragedy. Would you have been able to survive the crushing guilt of being linked to a tragedy, even if it wasn't intentional? The accident haunted Brandy for years. She faced multiple civil lawsuits that were later settled, but the heaviest burden was psychological. She admitted in later interviews that the incident left her in a deep depression, nearly destroying her will to live. For someone once celebrated for her radiant energy, the pain was nearly unbearable. Her music career also suffered. Albums released in the aftermath, including Human 2008, failed to achieve the commercial success of her earlier work. Although she continued to act and perform, the public's perception of Brandy never fully recovered. She went from one of the biggest stars of her generation to an artist struggling to find her place in an industry that often has little patience for redemption stories. Still, Brandy refused to give up. In the 2010s, she found renewed purpose on Broadway in television roles like The Game and through her music, including the 2020 album B7. While her career trajectory changed forever after the accident, her resilience proved undeniable. Today, Brandy Norwood stands as both a cautionary tale and an emblem of survival. She remains a beloved voice of R&B, an actress who helped pave the way for others, and a woman who has endured tragedy, yet continues to sing her truth. Raven-Symoné. Christina Pearman, born on December 10, 1985 in Atlanta, Georgia, is one of the rare child actors who seemed destined for stardom from the very beginning. At just 2 years old, she was signed to Ford Models, appearing in commercials for iconic brands like Cool Whip and Jell-O. But her big break came at age 3 when she joined The Cosby Show as Olivia Kendall, the precocious stepdaughter of Denise Huxtable. Instantly, Raven's charm, comedic timing, and natural confidence made her a fan favorite. Her career didn't stop there. Throughout the 1990s, Raven continued to impress audiences with roles in Hangin' with Mr. Cooper and feature films like Dr. Dolittle alongside Eddie Murphy. But it was in 2003 that she reached the peak of her fame as the star of Disney Channel's That's So Raven. Playing the quirky and psychic teenager Raven Baxter, she not only headlined one of the most successful shows in Disney history, but also became one of the first Black actresses to lead a major children's sitcom. Merchandise, music albums, and even a spin-off empire followed. By the mid-2000s, Raven-Symoné was not just a TV star, she was a cultural force. However, with fame came a darker side. As she transitioned from child star to adult entertainer, Raven found herself under relentless scrutiny. The media and critics often focused less on her talent and more on her weight and appearance, subjecting her to cruel body shaming. This public obsession chipped away at her confidence and sent her into periods of deep self-doubt. Despite being one of Disney's biggest stars, she felt trapped by unrealistic expectations of perfection. Have you ever noticed how society pressures young stars more about how they look than about the talent that made them famous in the first place? Adding to her challenges was the constant curiosity about her personal life. For years, speculation swirled about her sexuality, which she chose to keep private during her Disney years. In 2013, Raven publicly came out celebrating marriage equality and confirming what many fans had long suspected: she was proudly part of the LGBTQ+ community. While her honesty inspired countless young fans struggling with identity, it also drew backlash from conservative critics, turning her from a universally adored child star into a polarizing adult figure. Even so, Raven pushed forward. She returned to television in various projects, including Empire and later Raven's Home, a Disney Channel spin-off of her beloved original series. In 2020, she found personal happiness marrying Miranda Madej, marking a new chapter filled with love, stability, and empowerment. Professionally, she has also reinvented herself as a host, podcaster, and producer, ensuring her presence in entertainment remains strong. Raven-Symoné's journey is a testament to resilience. She went from a child star adored for her innocence to an adult woman who faced intense scrutiny, body shaming, and questions about her identity. Yet instead of being crushed by the pressures of fame, she has transformed her struggles into strength. Today, she stands not only as an entertainer, but also as a symbol of authenticity, reminding fans that true success is not about fitting into Hollywood's mold, but about embracing who you are. Marcus T. Polk. For many who grew up watching 1990s television, Marcus T. Polk was a familiar and beloved face. Born on October 12, 1986 in Los Angeles, California, Marcus entered the entertainment world as a child actor with natural charisma and a charming smile that quickly won audiences over. His breakthrough came in 1996 when he was cast as Miles Mitchell, the mischievous younger brother of Brandy Norwood's character on the hit sitcom Moesha. The show became a cultural landmark, offering authentic portrayals of Black family life, and Marcus's cheeky humor made him a standout despite being one of the youngest in the cast. For 6 seasons, Marcus was at the center of a series that defined a generation of Black television. Viewers watched him grow up on screen, and many assumed that, like his co-star Brandy, he was destined for long-lasting success in Hollywood. Beyond Moesha, he appeared in shows such as The Hughleys and films like Roll Bounce 2005, proving his range extended beyond sitcom comedy. At the height of his career, Marcus represented the promise of a smooth transition from child stardom to adult recognition. But when Moesha ended in 2001, Marcus found himself facing the same challenge that derails many child actors: how to reinvent himself in a highly competitive industry. Roles became harder to secure, and the shadow of his youthful fame seemed to follow him. While he continued to work, most of his appearances were minor, and the star power he once commanded began to fade. Like many former child stars, the struggle to stay relevant opened the door to personal turmoil. In 2013, Marcus's career hit its darkest moment. He was arrested and charged with domestic violence after his then-girlfriend accused him of assault during an argument. The incident shattered his once wholesome public image. Court documents revealed he had allegedly punched her in the stomach and kicked her during the altercation, leading to widespread media coverage and backlash. Though he later faced probation and community service rather than extended jail time, the damage to his reputation was lasting. Do you think society is too quick to celebrate child actors at their peak, only to abandon them when they stumble later in life? After the scandal, Marcus attempted to rebuild, taking on small roles in film and television, including Red Tails 2012, but nothing brought him back to the spotlight he once knew. The legacy of Miles Mitchell remained both a blessing and a curse. It secured him a place in television history, but it also trapped him in the past, making it nearly impossible for audiences to see him as anything else. Today, Marcus T. Polk's name carries a bittersweet memory. For fans of Moesha, he will always be the cheeky younger brother who brought laughter into living rooms across America. But his later struggles serve as a cautionary tale about the pressures of early fame and the fragile line between childhood success and adult downfall. His journey highlights the need for stronger support systems for young stars who often carry the weight of Hollywood long before they are ready. Jaleel White. In the world of 1990s sitcoms, few characters were as unforgettable as Steve Urkel, the nerdy, accident-prone boy with oversized glasses, suspenders, and a squeaky voice who stole the show on Family Matters. Behind that iconic role was Jaleel Ahmad White, born on November 27, 1976 in Culver City, California. Unlike many child actors who stumbled into fame, Jaleel's rise was the result of talent, preparation, and a little bit of fate. Jaleel began acting at the age of 3, appearing in commercials and small television roles. His big break came in 1989 when he was cast for what was supposed to be a one-time role on Family Matters. Producers initially introduced Urkel as a side character, but his quirky mannerisms and Jaleel's comedic genius made the audience fall in love instantly. Almost overnight, Steve Urkel became the centerpiece of the show, turning Jaleel White into one of the most recognizable child actors in America. For 9 seasons, Urkel's popularity defined Family Matters, making it one of ABC's longest-running sitcoms. Jaleel won multiple awards and millions of fans, but as the years went by, the role that made him a star also became the role that trapped him. When the show ended in 1998, Jaleel discovered that Hollywood only wanted Steve Urkel, not Jaleel White. Casting directors couldn't see past the character, and every attempt to reinvent himself as a serious actor fell flat. By his 20s, Jaleel was wrestling with the painful truth that his childhood success had become his biggest obstacle. He landed guest spots and voice work, including voicing Sonic the Hedgehog in the animated series, but the shadow of Urkel loomed large. Off-screen, Jaleel also faced personal struggles. In 2012, he became embroiled in a bitter custody dispute with his ex-girlfriend, who accused him of verbal and physical abuse. Though Jaleel denied the allegations, the media frenzy only added to his difficulties in shaking his child star image. Can you imagine being remembered for just one role your entire life, no matter what else you accomplish? Despite the challenges, Jaleel never gave up on his craft. He pivoted to behind-the-scenes work, writing, producing, and lending his voice to animated shows. He also returned to acting in more mature roles, appearing in series like Drunk History Castle and The Big Show Show. In 2021, he launched a cannabis brand called It's Purple, showing his entrepreneurial side. While these ventures proved he was more than Urkel, the public's nostalgia for his famous character often overshadowed his progress. Even so, Jaleel White remains a cultural icon. His portrayal of Steve Urkel left an indelible mark on television history and paved the way for more diverse, quirky black characters in sitcoms. Though the role may have limited his career trajectory, it also guaranteed his place in pop culture forever. Today, Jaleel's story reflects both the brilliance and the curse of child stardom. He gave joy to millions but paid the price of being forever defined by a single character. His resilience, however, continues to show that even when trapped by the past, one can still find ways to create a future. Emmanuel Lewis. In the 1980s, there were few child stars as instantly recognizable as Emmanuel Lewis. Born on March 9, 1971 in Brooklyn, New York, Emmanuel was raised in a working-class family. From a young age, he stood out not only for his magnetic personality, but also for his unusually small stature. Diagnosed with a rare condition that stunted his growth, Emmanuel remained just 4 feet 3 inches tall as an adult. Though many assumed he had dwarfism, he later clarified that his condition was never officially classified as such. Still, his size gave him a distinctive appearance that set him apart in Hollywood. Emmanuel's rise to fame came in 1983 when he landed the starring role in the sitcom Webster. The show followed a young black orphan adopted by a wealthy white family, echoing the success of Different Strokes. With his wide-eyed innocence, sharp comedic timing, and undeniable charm, Emmanuel quickly became a cultural phenomenon. Webster ran for 6 seasons until 1989, and during its peak, he was one of the most beloved child actors in America. His success even earned him appearances alongside icons like Michael Jackson, with whom he shared a close friendship. But unlike many of his peers, Emmanuel's career faded as abruptly as it began. Once Webster ended, he struggled to find roles that would allow him to transition into adulthood. Hollywood typecast him as the eternal child, and his unique appearance made it nearly impossible for casting directors to see him in more mature roles. By the early 1990s, the once familiar face of primetime television had quietly slipped out of the limelight. Would you have preferred to be remembered forever as a child star or risk obscurity trying to start fresh in adulthood? Unlike some child actors who spiraled into drugs or scandal, Emmanuel chose a different path. He pursued education, graduating from Clark Atlanta University in 1997 with a degree in theater arts. Though he occasionally appeared in guest spots on television and reality shows, he largely retreated into a private life far removed from the chaos of Hollywood. His decision was deliberate. He had tasted the highs of stardom but wanted peace and stability more than fleeting fame. In later years, Emmanuel became something of a mystery. Fans speculated about his health and absence from the industry, but he maintained his privacy. He occasionally surfaced at nostalgic events or gave rare interviews, but he never sought to recapture the spotlight he once held. For many, this quiet disappearance was shocking, given the scale of his childhood fame. Today, Emmanuel Lewis remains etched in the hearts of fans as Webster, the sweet, lovable child who brought joy to millions. Yet his story is also a reminder of the fickle nature of fame and the steep price that comes with early success. While his peers often burned out tragically, Emmanuel chose survival over self-destruction, trading Hollywood's glare for a life of anonymity. In doing so, he avoided the scandals that consumed so many of his contemporaries, though at the cost of a career that once seemed unstoppable. Malcolm Jamal Warner. For millions of viewers, Malcolm Jamal Warner will forever be remembered as Theo Huxtable, the wisecracking but lovable son on The Cosby Show. Born on August 18, 1970 in Jersey City, New Jersey, Malcolm grew up with a passion for performance. His mother, Pamela, served as both his parent and manager, guiding him through the pitfalls of Hollywood. At just 13 years old, Malcolm landed the role that would change his life and make him part of one of the most important television shows in American history. The Cosby Show premiered in 1984, shattering stereotypes by portraying an upper-middle-class black family with humor, dignity, and relatability. As Theo, Malcolm became the stand-in for countless young viewers navigating adolescence. For 8 seasons, he was a staple in American households, growing up on screen while winning the admiration of fans worldwide. By the time the series ended in 1992, Malcolm was not only a seasoned actor, but also an emerging director, having helmed several episodes of the show. Unlike many child stars, Malcolm managed to avoid the worst of Hollywood's pitfalls. He continued acting, appearing in television shows, stage productions, and films. He also pursued music, establishing himself as a spoken-word artist and later as a Grammy Award-winning jazz musician. His career choices reflected maturity and artistic integrity. Yet despite his discipline and focus, Malcolm could never fully escape the shadow of The Cosby Show or its controversial legacy. When Bill Cosby was accused and later convicted of sexual assault decades after the show's end, Malcolm found himself caught in an uncomfortable position. Though he was not involved in any wrongdoing, the scandal cast a cloud over everyone associated with the sitcom. Suddenly, Malcolm was no longer just remembered as Theo. He was linked, however unfairly, to a show now marred by disgrace. Would you have spoken out against a mentor accused of horrific crimes, or stayed silent to protect your own legacy? At first, Malcolm chose silence, hoping to distance himself from the scandal without fueling further controversy. But the public interpreted his hesitation as complicity, leading to criticism from fans and media. Eventually, he made careful statements condemning sexual assault while acknowledging his gratitude for the opportunities the show had given him. It was a delicate balance, respecting his personal history while refusing to condone the crimes of its patriarch. Despite these challenges, Malcolm has continued to thrive creatively. He has appeared in acclaimed television series such as Sons of Anarchy, American Crime Story, The People vs. O.J. Simpson, and The Resident. In 2015, he won a Grammy Award for Best Traditional R&B Performance for his collaboration with Robert Glasper and Lala Hathaway on Jesus Children. Beyond acting and music, Malcolm has become a respected voice in the arts, often speaking about the importance of representation and the responsibilities of fame. Malcolm Jamal Warner's life illustrates the complicated legacy of child stardom. Unlike many of his peers, he avoided personal destruction, but the scandals surrounding those he once worked with still shaped his reputation. Through resilience, artistry, and careful reinvention, Malcolm has built a career that stands on its own. His story reminds us that sometimes survival in Hollywood is not just about personal choices, but also about navigating the storms created by others. Alfonso Ribeiro. When people think of Alfonso Ribeiro, one image immediately comes to mind: the energetic sweater-wearing Carlton Banks from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air dancing joyfully to Tom Jones's It's Not Unusual. Born on September 21, 1971 in New York City, to parents of Trinidadian descent, Alfonso had been performing long before he stepped foot on that famous Bel Air set. At just 8 years old, he starred in a Broadway production of The Tap Dance Kid, winning praise for his electrifying dance skills. In 1984, he gained national recognition starring alongside Michael Jackson in a Pepsi commercial, a moment that confirmed his destiny in show business. But it was 1990 that changed everything. Cast as Carlton Banks, the uptight cousin to Will Smith's street-smart character, Alfonso created one of television's most iconic personalities. Carlton wasn't just comic relief. He was a cultural figure representing class identity and family tensions in a way that resonated across generations. The Carlton dance became a phenomenon, turning Alfonso into a household name. For 6 seasons, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air made him beloved worldwide. Yet as the laughter faded, Alfonso discovered the harsh reality of child and teen stardom typecasting. After the show ended in 1996, Hollywood refused to see him as anyone but Carlton. Casting directors dismissed his versatility, and serious roles never materialized. Though he was an accomplished actor-singer and dancer, he found himself locked in the shadow of a character he had created more than 2 decades earlier. Have you ever wondered if being remembered for one role is a blessing that keeps you immortal or a curse that keeps you stuck in time? Alfonso, however, refused to be defeated. Instead of waiting for Hollywood's approval, he reinvented himself. He transitioned into directing, working behind the camera on shows like All of Us and Meet the Browns. Later, he found his second wind in reality television, hosting Catch 21 and competing and winning season 19 of Dancing with the Stars in 2014. His charisma and dance talent reminded audiences that he was far more than just Carlton Banks. In 2015, he was chosen as the host of America's Funniest Home Videos, stepping into a role previously made famous by Bob Saget. This job brought him back into millions of households each week, solidifying him not just as a former child star, but as a seasoned entertainer who had survived Hollywood's unforgiving cycles. Still, the Carlton shadow lingers. To this day, fans approach him with requests to perform the Carlton dance. And while Alfonso embraces the joy it brings people, he has also spoken about the frustration of being permanently tied to one role. In 2018, he even sued Epic Games creators of Fortnite for using his dance without permission, a case that underscored how much Carlton's legacy has both defined and limited him. Today, Alfonso Ribeiro stands as a survivor of child stardom's cruel trap. He has built a multifaceted career as an actor, director, dancer, and television host, even while the world insists on remembering him for a role he played as a teenager. His story is one of resilience, learning to turn what once felt like a cage into a lasting legacy. The stories of these black child actors remind us that fame is never as simple as it looks on screen. From early success to hidden battles with health betrayal and mental struggles, their lives reveal the high price of Hollywood's spotlight. Some found redemption, while others were lost far too soon, leaving behind only memories of what might have been. But the question remains, do we as fans celebrate these stars responsibly, or does our demand for entertainment contribute to their downfall? Share your thoughts below. The debate continues here on Legends of Black Excellence.